Let's pretend for a second that you became Mauricio Pochettino. You know, the guy making $6 million a year to coach the United States men's national team. And you know what I always wondered? Is there anyone that watches Tactical Manager TV that makes a couple $1,000,000 a year? I mean, I'm getting close. I'm a couple $1,000,000 short, and it would definitely help if the channel had a sugar daddy sponsor, which we don't, but I'll get there. I'm like $6 million away from making $6 million. But none of that matters for this episode. If you were handed the job as the United States men's national team head coach with no salary, let's not talk about salary, what would be the best 23-man roster that you could call up right now? And that, my friends, is what we're going to be talking about today. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Filippo, and welcome to Tactical Manager TV. And today, we're not going to be talking about what Mauricio Pochettino would do. We're going to be talking about what we would do. I mean, you, me. I don't know why I pointed to myself when I said you. You are not me. But we're going to be building our very own and strongest 23-man roster. Keep in mind that players that are out with a long-term injury will be excluded, like Serginho Dest that has a torn ACL. Now, players that have a minor injury that could return within the next 30 days, such as like Tyler Adams, for example, they could be included in this video. I mean, Tyler is expected to be back in 30 days, so that's why we're gonna be able to include him. There's a lot that goes into each selection. Some players pick themselves just because they're too good, like Christian Pulisic, while others come in due to specific needs, style of play, and aura. Yes, aura is 100% one of the criterias for selecting this roster. With that said, everyone, don't forget to drop a like because it helps the channel quite a bit. It's a great way to help us for free. Let's try to hit 1,000 likes. I will not be requesting during the video. And the special guest for this video, that's not that special because he's here quite often, is Pete from 11 Yanks. And you can let me know in the comment section down below. Why is my roster much better than Pete's? All right, roll the episode. All right, everyone, we are going to be updating. We do this every 3 months or so. Sometimes we get the timing right because me and Pete are not very good with calendars. And we were under some very stressful months with Berhalter leaving, who we were hiring. But we decided to finally update these videos. Pete already probably released the video where we project into the 2026 roster, which will be what Pochettino will do. But this video, it's not what Pochettino will do. What matters here is what I would do, what Pete would do, and what you watching this would do. This is where we build the strongest possible 23-man roster right now for the U.S. men's national team. If the player is injured with a long-term injury like Serginho Dest, ACL, he's out. If it's something minor, short-term like Gio that should be back in like 3 to 4 weeks, Tyler Adams that could be back any moment before October, they can be included. Okay. So essentially, just to get it out of the way right away, out of the big names that we have, only Dest is out.
Yeah. That's not bad.
Yeah. 23-man roster. The composition of this one is going to be very weird, Pete. Besides the goalkeepers, I had to do some massive mental gymnastics here to build the roster the way I want it. I'll explain everything. I'm sure yours will be too. But why don't we start with the elephant in the room? The goalkeepers, which is probably our weakest position right now. Why don't you give me your three and let's explain it, because I'm pretty sure we have the same. Who are the three best goalkeepers you would bring if you had a World Cup right now? The three goalkeepers.
If I have a World Cup right now, it would be Turner, Horvath, and Schulte.
Oh my god!
Like I hope Slonina is the future, and I hope Cochin is the future, and maybe Gavin Beavers or Chris Brady is also the future. But none of them are ready, and I know. People might say, well, is Horvath really that good? No. Is Turner really that? Honestly, I'm in a place where if Pochettino goes, I'm starting Cochin for my first 2 friendly games, I might go, okay, I'm fine with that. Like, there's nobody's making a strong enough case right now. So I'm going to play it safe, and I'm going to go with Horvath, Turner, and Schulte. But probably I would start Schulte.
You said Gavin Beavers. I can't help but think that Bucky's has to sponsor him. But I don't know why that came out. Like when you said Gavin Beavers, I'm like,
that's what came to your head when you heard.
Yeah, that's the first thing that came to my head. Like, How is Bucky's not sponsoring
I
this
think the
guy?
straight red would go somewhere else in their head for sure.
Yeah, they would. They definitely would. But so the goalkeepers I have are the same: Schulte, Matt Turner, and Horvath. And I know many in the comment section might go on and say, but Slonina, he got those two man at the matches for Barnsley, and CBS Golazzo America was saying he's so good. Listen, guys, the same way I said on Pete's video, I don't know how much those guys actually watch the game because they also talked about like Richie Ledesma being immense. I'm not talking about the podcast. I'm talking about the social media post, by the way. I don't know what the podcast said. I don't listen to it. I'm talking about social media post. Talked about Ledesma being immense. He just got exposed by Juventus. I talked about this every month in the abroad. Guys, watch the game. He wasn't that good. He was okay for PSV.
Also, serviceable is not immense. If you're playing for a team like PSV against a terrible Dutch team and you're serviceable at right back, that is not immense.
Yeah, it's also like even serviceable, in my opinion, is a bit of a stretch because truly what happened was they're so dominant that they pretty much never get attacked in certain games. So he's never exposed. And then on offense, as I said in your video too, he is quite literally the weak link when he goes to support. He's below Bakayoko. He's below Malik Tillman. He's below Luke de Jong. He's below even Chucky Lozano if Chucky Lozano's playing. So just that's why I was talking about Richie Ledesma. But goalkeeper is the same with Gaga. He's until proven otherwise, he's worse than Ethan Horvath, and he was really poor in Belgium. And right now in the third division of England, been very average in a league that's really bad. Like it's the third division of England. Okay, he's playing against Wrexham, guys. He's
also not even that good in Barnsley. He had a mistake just before the international break that cost them points, and he had quite a few against Manchester United. Like he's not like he's lights out for Barnsley. He's had some good performances and some not great ones. That's his level. I said this. This is his level. And some people got mad at me. That's his level.
Yeah, he conceded 7 goals against Manchester. I watched the game, right? I'm even wearing Manchester United here on a 4 XG. So he was expected to concede 4 goals, statistically speaking. He conceded 7. And I'm going to go with that. The thing Slonina has for him is time. He's a young prospect. Goalkeepers take longer to mature. So I think when push comes to shove, he will be a better goalkeeper than Horvath. I'm pretty sure of that. But right now, if we had to pick like September 2024, it's Schulte, Turner, and Horvath.
Right.
Schulte would start for you? Probably right now, right?
Yeah. I don't rate Turner. And at least Schulte's playing. And I know you made a mistake against Canada, but he was also very good against Canada. It's kind of the same as the Olympics. He had one mistake, but then was also pretty good otherwise, like very good otherwise, I would say.
He does bounce back quickly, right? He did that in the CONCACAF Champions Cup too for Columbus. Made mistakes, saved penalty kicks.
Bounces back. Turner, when he makes a mistake, it's pretty bad.
Yeah. And when he doesn't make a mistake, he's still pretty bad. But fullbacks, how many? Do you want me to go first on this one?
Yeah, sure.
So this is where the mental gymnastics starts to come in. I'm bringing 3 fullbacks.
Okay.
3 fullbacks because the way I see it, and I'll tell you, I'm bringing Anthony Robinson from Fulham, Joe Scally that can play right back and left back if needed. And I'm actually bringing John Token from the New York Red Bulls, which I think he should probably go to Europe soon. And people might be wondering, what about Christopher Lund? What about Caleb Wiley? I thought Token, I'm just trying to evaluate based on like, in terms of like club performances, where they play and all of that. I think it's very similar to the level. I would argue Token has been better than like Wiley was in MLS. I think that's fair. But during the summer, I know it's a U23 tournament, but we watched Token play in the Olympics, and then we watched Christopher Lund play in the September camp against Canada and New Zealand. I thought Token looked a bit better, but it's one of those hills that I'm not willing to die on. If you go and you say, I'm bringing Christopher Lund, I'm like, yeah, take him. I kind of don't want any of them to play.
Yeah.
But you have to bring someone. And then the reason I only brought 3 is because I'm going to, spoiler alert, there are other players in this roster that can play right back, and they honestly play better right back than Marlon Fossey, Brian Reynolds, and we don't have Dest. So if it came to that, I would honestly put maybe Weah as a right back and then put Pulisic on the right wing and Haji on the left wing. Or even I can even put Malik Tillman out wide, right? And pinch in as a playmaker. I would not be willing to drop to a level of a Brian Reynolds and Marlon Fossey. I'd rather just put Weah there or put a Weston McKennie. He can play there. McKennie. So my overall point, it's something I always criticize Berhalter for, where he would go as low as possible, but to keep the natural position, right?
Right. If you're starting Shaq Moore instead of thinking you can play Musa at right back.
Exactly, which we saw with Milan that Musa can also play right back just fine in the Serie A, which would be a much higher level than Shaquille Moore. So my overall point is that instead of doing what Berhalter did, which I completely lowered the level just to keep everyone in their natural position, this is not freaking FIFA that you have to play your player in your position. McKennie can play right back. Weah can play right back. Musa can play right back. And since we have so much depth in that midfield, if you remove McKennie or Musa, they're replaceable there, but then you put them in the right back. So that's why I only brought three fullbacks. Just to explain, Berhalter brought four. Right, he brought more right backs in the World
And you
Cup than I
brought
did total.
fullbacks. Yeah,
Four right backs.
gotta get that MLS quota. So I actually have the same thing as you. I only have 3 fullbacks, except mine are Joe Scally, Anthony Robinson, and Kevin Paredes, because Kevin Paredes can also play on the wing if necessary. If I want to play in a wing back formation with like 3-4-3, 3-4-2-1, 3-5-2, I can play. It gives me some flexibility there. Like I said on the other video we recorded, I was impressed with Paredes' defensive work in the Olympics. I've also low-key been impressed when he has played more defensively for Wolfsburg. And so I have Paredes as my backup left back for now. And then
just one
with
thing
right
before
back,
anyone
it's the same
says.
thing.
I was gonna say before anyone says anything, Paredes is injured, but Pete put him on because he's expected to be back anytime soon.
This month, yeah, this month. So that same, I'm not bringing I could bring Fossey, I could bring Reynolds, but it's basically the same explanation as you. So we have options there.
Okay, so you have Paredes, Scally, and A-Rob. I have A-Rob, Scally, and Token. I wouldn't die on that hill like the Paredes justification. I'll just keep Token over Paredes for whatever. I don't plan on playing him anyway. Center backs, Pete, go first.
My center backs are very simple, actually, are what I think are currently our 4 best center backs, and that is Mark McKenzie, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Chris Richards, and Tim Ream. So notwithstanding Tim Ream's last performance against Canada, which was shambolic. But who's better than Tim Ream right now? Is Jalen Neal better than Tim Ream? Is Austin Trusty better than Tim Ream? I don't think so. So I wouldn't start Tim Ream, but he's the 4th best center back right now.
I mean, Trusty, just to put it into perspective, Trusty was in the defense in the Premier League. That was the worst defense in the history of the Premier League. Went to the championship, gave up on the championship, went to Celtic in Scotland to get benched.
Yeah.
While Tim Ream, he got benched for Fulham, a good Premier League team, right? Yeah. And then he left Fulham. He probably could have stayed there on the bench, but he left, and he's playing in MLS, and he's probably going to be among the best center backs in MLS. Tim Ream even scored a goal last week, a very nice header, by the way, from Tim Ream. Look, this is actually quite interesting because to me, there's 3 right now that are the top 3 quite easily. It's Mark McKenzie, Cameron Carter-Vickers, and Chris Richards. So McKenzie plays for Toulouse in France. Carter-Vickers starts for Celtic, probably the best center back in Scotland, or top 2, top 3. Then you have Chris Richards from Crystal Palace. The 4th one, I agree with you that it's Tim Ream, but I am not bringing Tim Ream. I am going to do something crazy because I will continue to push this agenda. I continue to think Tanner Tessman is a center back. He has the player profile of a center back. He can't he gets the ball in the midfield. He can't turn his back. He can't turn with the ball. That's what I'm trying to say. He's not that good in tight spaces, but I
think he can turn with the ball. It's just slow.
Well, then he needs a lot of time and space, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and in the midfield, in multiple occasions, especially if you play as an 8, you don't have that. But he has great range on his pass. He has great positioning, very good interceptions, very good reading of the game. He is big. He's athletic. I think this guy's a center back. Like, he fits in the player profile of it. If you can play him there, adjust him to the position, to me, that's a center back. And if I had a roster right now, even though I have never seen Tanner Tessman play as a center back before, I'm going to go with my gut feeling, and I would have put him over Tim Ream. And this is weird because we were going to say, but he's not better than Tim Ream as a center back right now. You're right. He is not. But I would be willing to bet that if he played, he would be. My gut feeling tells me that.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Midfielders, how many are you bringing?
I 7. 7.
Me too. But Let's see who you got.
So I have Tyler Adams, Johnny Cardoso, Weston McKennie, Giovanni Reina, Yunus Musa, Malik Tillman, and Luca De La Torre. Those are my 7.
So actually, I have the same as yours, besides De La Torre. So I have Musa, Adams, Johnny McKennie, Gio, Tillman, and then I have Gianluca Busio in my roster right now. And the reason I have that is Busio he's kind of like, well, you talked about this in the other video. He bulked up. He's much tougher than before. He looks like he belongs in the Serie A. And he's one of those guys that he can, maybe not the lone six, but he can play in a double pivot and play defense for you as an 8. He can play as a 10. He has some versatility there down the middle, right?
Especially
And
now that he's bulked up, I trust him defensively more. And not just the bulking up. If you watch the games for Venezia this year, he has done good defensive work as well.
And I would argue he was probably our best player in the Olympics until he got injured. Or top 2, 3, something like that. And the reason I brought him too is, remember in the fullback section where I mentioned a lot like McKennie playing right back, possibly Weah or even Musa. So there's 2 midfielders there that could play. And if Musa or McKennie have to play there, Busio becomes like the backup of that, right? He wouldn't start because then you start still like Johnny, Tyler, and Gio, or Johnny, Tyler, and Tillman, or Tyler, Tillman, and Gio, depending on who you're facing. But
you can also play Tyler Adams as a right back, to be honest.
You can also send Tyler. Well, he has played. Berhalter had him as a right back at one point
to accommodate Will Trapp.
Well, he needed Will Trapp because Will Trapp was tremendous. Wasn't Will Trapp his captain
in Columbus? Yes, he was the captain of Columbus.
But didn't he captain the U.S. in 2019?
I think a few times in the early days. But Will Trapp was definitely there because of his Columbus Crew stint.
Yeah, Berhalter loved himself Will Trapp, and then Jackson Yule at some point was
the same profile, right?
Yeah. Bad player. That's the profile. So that's my midfield. Yunus Musa, Tyler Adams, Johnny, Weston McKennie, Gio Reyna, Malik Tillman, and Busio is my number 7, actually. I'm going to go to wingers, and I'll go first on this one. I'm bringing only 3 wingers. Are you bringing 3 or 4?
Also 3, yeah.
3, yeah, and this one's pretty easy for me. It's Pulisic, Weah, and Haji. And I do also want to add that Tillman and Gio, that's not their ideal position, but if you want to, they can play out wide. So it's not like you only have those 3. They can play more like it's more like a wide playmaking winger, like a wide playmaker. So they can play there. And you can also play a formation without true wingers. You can have wide midfielders. You can play a 4-4-2 dime. You don't have to only play 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1.
Yeah. I also have Paredes, who can play on the wing as a last resort too. So I'm comfortable with just bringing those 3. I don't think Brendan Aronson warrants a place in the roster right now. And guys like Griffin Yao, I just think I was ready to give Griffin Yao a spot after the Olympics, that 4th winger spot, but the start to the season hasn't been great. So I'm going to hold off on that.
Yeah, and Coleocho, we're assuming he's not at the U.S. right now because me and Pete can't really officially recruit players. So we can't really count on him.
Although we would, right? That he would be probably our number 1 or 2 recruit. I would say our number 2.
I'll try to recruit. Well, I would say 3. I would probably go Arnie Chase and Diego Cochin as priorities. Yeah.
Cochin's kind of already recruited though, right? Or not really?
He hasn't committed and he's not cap tied. So I'd say not officially. Yeah. But Arnie Chase is definitely more important, center back position.
For those of you who don't know who that is, Arnie Chase is starting games for Stuttgart already as center back. 20 years old, American, German, Japanese, tri-national. So it's open season on Arnie Chase.
But he's only played for Japanese youth teams, and he's represented by an agency that represents a bunch of like J League players, the big Japanese. So there's a lot of pressure for him to stay with Japan. Yeah, I would say he's Japan's to lose.
He's Japan's to lose, but when Pochettino comes knocking, I think you always have a shot. When Pochettino calls you and you're a young player, I think at least it's worth listening to.
Yeah, and when tactical manager knocks, you also listen to him. And I sent him a DM on Instagram telling him to play for the US. We'll see if he listens. Center forward this one's going to be quick. Center forwards, I'm bringing 3, and we talked about this in your video. And I think we can repeat the same thing. Sargent, Pepe, and Balogun, they're levels above most of the other center forwards right now. It's almost like Sargent and Balogun are in tier 1. I still have Balogun as the best center forward, but they're in the same tier for the U.S. men's national team. And then Pepe's in tier 2 on his own. And then after that, you start to get Brendan Vasquez, Pifak, Who else?
Ferreira.
Probably not.
I think he's in a different level down. I think those 2, Pifak, Vasquez, and maybe Damian Downs is slowly pushing into it, but still, no, not quite. So it's probably those two in their own tier, and then like Ferreira, Duncan Maguire, Damian Downs. Those are your options.
I think it reaches a point where you just go to the Pulisic false nine, change the formation.
Yeah,
You don't play
you don't do anything like that. Pulisic or Gio even false nine. You don't.
Weston McKennie center forward. The dude scores goals. Like you try. Like if it reaches that point where you have to play Duncan Maguire, Jesus Ferreira. It doesn't work. But just to recap, I'm gonna.
The other thing about that, real quick, I'll say is Balogun can play wide in a pinch too. If you have 3 strikers and Balogun can play wide.
Yeah, he has the player profile of a winger too. Actually, might even be a better winger because his finishing is ass.
To be honest, even this season, his best moments for Monaco have come out wide, good, especially in transition.
He's really bad at finishing. So as a winger, that happens a bit less. Center forwards, you have to put the ball in the back of the net.
If Sargent could stay healthy and get a Bundesliga move,
we get
Balogun on one side, Pulisic on the other.
Yeah, I like that. And he's quite dangerous. But everyone, I'm just going to recap my roster super quick, and you guys can let us know in the comment section down below your roster while you also drop a like in the video if you haven't already. My 3 goalkeepers are Patrick Schulte, Matt Turner, and Ethan Horvath. The 3 fullbacks that I brought were Anthony Robinson from Fulham, Joe Scally from Borussia, not Dortmund, and John Token from the New York Red Bulls. The center backs will be Chris Richards from Crystal Palace, Mark McKenzie from Toulouse, and Cameron Carter-Vickers from Celtic, alongside Tanner Tessman from Lyon. The midfielders, Gianluca Busso from Venezia, Yunus Musa from Milan, Tyler Adams from Bournemouth, Johnny Cardoso from Real Betis, Tillman from PSV, McKennie from Juventus, and Gio Reyna from Dortmund. Wingers, Christian Pulisic from Milan, Weah from Juventus, Haji Wright from Coventry. And then up top, Josh Sargent from Norwich, Balogun from Monaco, and Pepe from also PSV, just like Tillman. If you want to, do you want to recap yours, Pete? It's mostly
mine, but I won't say the clubs because you just said them all. For keepers, I have Patrick Schulte, Matt Turner, Ethan Horvath. For fullbacks, I have Anthony Robinson, Kevin Paredes, and Joe Scally. For fullbacks, I have Mark McKenzie, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Chris Richards, and Tim Ream. For midfielders, I have Johnny Cardoso, Weston McKennie, Tyler Adams, Yunus Musa, Giovanni Reyna, Timothy Tillman, and Luca De La Torre. No, Malik Tillman and Luca De La Torre. Let me be very clear. This is not call it what you want.
No, it wasn't that. Yeah, they got the names wrong too with Yusuf Musa, but I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago where Men in Blazers put that Tim Tillman and Richie Ledesma starting the Champions League, and everyone started comments like it's not Tim Tillman, it's Malik Tillman, and everyone's like, dude, why didn't you fix it on Twitter? You can edit like Men in Blazers, but yeah, they put Tim.
No, but I said that because I do think it would not surprise me if that podcast said that Tim Tillman should be on the roster. Like that would not surprise me.
Yeah, depends on who's the agent of Tillman. But everyone, thank you very much for watching.
I haven't finished my roster.
Oh, you didn't?
Wingers are Christian Pulisic, Haji Wright, and Tim Weah. Forwards are Josh Sargent, Ricardo Pepi, and Fuller and Balogun.
Yeah, it's just recording for so many hours. I got a little bit tired there, and I completely lost track of where you were. But everyone, listen up. Thank you very much for watching. Drop a like before you go. We're getting closer and closer to October, which will be the first camp of Pochettino. But remember, this roster is not his. This is the best roster we could build right now with the players available. Let us know your roster in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching, and have a great day. Bye-bye.